So I was curious, you just worked with Zac Efron on The Greatest Beer Run Ever. What made you think he was perfect here as Dean, the lead here, and made you want to reunite?
Um, I was blown away by Zach in Beer Run. I was really shocked at how good he is. He's got the whole palette where he could go over here, he could go over here, he does it all. But more than that, he's like kind of a director's dream because he trusts you. And when he does a scene, you'll come up and what do you think? And I'll say, perfect, great, let's move on. Or I'll say, try this, try that. But more than that, he's listening. Like, a lot of actors, you approach them and they're like this, and they're thinking, what should I do next? And you're like, try this. And he's like, tell me. And those are the most fun actors for any director to work with.
That's incredible. And this film has had a surprisingly long development
Yeah.
history. What about the original idea and the script kind of made you want to put your own stamp on it and finally see this made?
Well, I love the idea from the moment I heard it, and it was by a guy named Jeff Bushell like 15 years ago. But we kept developing, and like a lot of scripts, by the way, we've done, they all take forever. It's unbelievable how long they take. But this one took a particularly long time, and it was because it probably wasn't right yet. And it was thin. Like I look back at it like 10 years ago when we almost made it with Jim Carrey, and I was thinking, that's a funny movie, but it's a thin movie. It doesn't have what this movie has. When we started thinking recently, like, well, wait a second, why do they lie? Do they just assholes, or do they have a reason? And they do have a reason. Like most people who lie, they're lying out of some insecurity or their fear, or trying to, there's a million reasons you lie, but there's a reason, and we didn't have their reasons. Their reasons were just get out of a party, and that's not enough. And I think it just made it a better script when you get into the psychology of these guys.
And I loved John Cena in this, and he has this dual role going on where he's rock hard Rod, and then he's trying to be Ricky Stanicky. And he does this by having this Bible that sort of tells him the rules, tells him the full history. How was it working with John to make sure, he nailed that character and kept the continuity? Did you guys kind of have like a Bible behind the scenes, or how did that work?
John, by far, is the most prepared actor I ever worked with, by far. And he literally had the entire script memorized on day one, the entire script. Like if I said, right now, let's go to page 62, scene this, tell me what happens. He memorized. He didn't have to look at it. He read that thing over and over and over like he was doing a stage play. And so it wasn't hard keeping him. And he had all the heavy lifting. He had some very big scenes to do, and we were always done early because we thought, like, when we did the him singing, they gave us like 2 days to do all that stuff. We were done in like 4 hours. And we had gone in the day before, and we'd gone into a studio, and he recorded the songs. But then when we got on the set shooting it, and he was supposed to be lip syncing, he was singing better than he was the day before, so we didn't even lip sync. We just had him sing it, and he knew everything. It was just like it was just a ball and a joy to work with him.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the song parodies. They're all about jacking off. They're
Yeah.
a ball in the movie. How was it coming up with those and picking which songs you were going to parody? They're so much fun.
Well, it was kind of tricky because we originally wrote like 4 or 5 songs, and we did them, and then we couldn't clear any of them. Like, we started to, I'm trying to think of like, I blocked them out, but okay, like, yeah, we couldn't clear them. And and then so then we got our music supervisor, Tom Wolfe, and his partner, Manish Ravel, and they had to find songs to clear before we did it. We didn't want to go writing songs. It's hard. So we said, ask them get songs that we could clear. So they said, these guys are going to make songs about masturbation about your song. You okay with it? Yeah, sure. So we had like 4 or 5 people, and then we did it. So we kind of, did it backwards.
That's very funny. And I love the animated opening to this film. It just kind of sets the tone. It shows the kids, and it helps that time skip really along. How was it, coming up with that animated intro? Because I thought it was great.
It was, thank you very much. The guy who did that, Tommy, do you have that guy's name? Are you there?
Yeah, hold on one second.
Okay, that guy, here's what happened. That was one of the writers, Brian Jarvis, had the idea. He goes, "We should do an animated opening credit," and I thought, well, that's a good idea because they go from kids to adults, and it would give us a little like cushion. Because if you go boom right to adults, it's what's going on? Like that was a nice little touch, but we didn't have a lot of money. So we went online and we were just looking for really good animation, and we found this guy in Sweden. Tom?
He was from UK, but yeah, hold on one second.
Really? Okay. Anyway, we found this guy online, and we just called him up and said, "Hey, we love your stuff. We want to do an opening credit thing, but we have X amount of money. We didn't have a huge budget, and great, let's do it." So he was really, really fantastic. I'll give you his name in a second.
Yeah, it turned out great. And let's talk about that opening flashback with the kids. How was it finding those kids? Because they were, just as funny as the adults.
It was hard to do it because there were local hires in Australia, and it's hard to find kids who can do American accents. Adults all can for some reason. I guess they watch American TV all the time, and they could all do an American accent. And those kids, but they turned out great. They looked great, and yeah, it was. They were real pros. It was fun to do.
And Andrew Santino is a real highlight, and he obviously has, the stand-up background. How is it working with actors that do have that stand-up comedy background? Do you find them like different from a regular actor? How's that?
I find it extremely useful, like when they have that kind of thing, because they're quick, and like those are the guys who come up with the extra lines all the time. Like in Sebastian Maniscalco in Green Book, almost all the stuff that he was doing in there, he was going to say, "Hey, what if I say this? What if I say that?" I was like, "Yeah, do that." He made it better and better and better. And the same thing with Andrew and Germaine. They think like stand-up comedians, which I like. But the first thing we always do is just do what's scripted. Now let's find stuff. But Andrew. Both of them, they were great. I've been a huge fan of Andrews for years, and it was also I didn't know Germaine until this, but he was excellent.
Yeah, you mentioned Germaine Fowler, and I've been just so impressed with him the past couple years. He's so funny, and he does it in like a little low key way. He's not over the top.
No,
What did you like most about working with him?
he brought like a. Again, he was like Andrew Santino, where he brought his own thing, where he just does little things like that thing where he goes, "You're telling me you did use the Stanicky line to get some pot milk, pot milk, yeah, dream cream, that kind of stuff." Like he's just his own guy. You just let him go. He found that character, and that character is a hugely important one. In fact, he's probably in what I think is the most important scene in the movie when he confronts Zac at the end and tells him, "Dude, you had a real life, you made it fake. Stanicky had a fake life, made it real. You got to stop lying." That scene, to me, is the most important scene in the movie.
Yeah, that really brings the
Yeah.
emotional crux to the story. And one thing we've seen recently was Loudermilk really blow up. It just completely grew in popularity. Is there any hope for a revival?
Absolutely guaranteed, 100%. I'm going to do 2 more seasons. I don't know where yet, but I know we're going to do it. The show's too good. I have it mapped out for 7 seasons. We always did, and we know where we want to go with it. And the 3-year break that we just got from the last one works right into it because the last episode he sold his book, and now we cut to 3 years later. The book blew up. It's a huge hit, and now he's back on the in the high life. He's having lunch with Neil Young, but he's got these banana heads he's trying to take care of in his 12-step group, and it's a really interesting world. It's sort of a cross between Loudermilk and a Larry Sanders show. So I'm really looking forward to it, but we're going to do it.
And how great is that seeing, quality just rise to the top? It took some time, but, it found the audience, and that has to be so fulfilling.
It is the nicest surprise of my entire career, without question. Like, that was just gone, and no one saw it, and we loved it. And we were all hung out, all of us, the group. And then all of a sudden, not more than like 5 weeks ago, someone calls me and say, "Hey, Loudermilk's on Netflix." Oh, and then the next day, I get like 5 calls from people. "Hey, your show's on Netflix." Oh, thanks. And then all of a sudden, it just snowballed, and it's just it's very rewarding, and in a lot of ways, I'm happy it happened this way, and it's because. The great thing about the Audience Network, where we made it, which no longer exists, is they gave us freedom. They said, go do whatever you want to do. And we were able to create something special. And I don't know if we could have done that if we were doing it at any other place. They would have, handcuffed us because we just did whatever we wanted.
And Dumb and Dumber, the 30th anniversary is coming up. That movie obviously changed your career and is still so funny today. When you look back on its legacy, what does that film mean to you? Because it's a classic.
Oh, thanks. It means everything. I loved it. It didn't. I was in LA 9 years before we got a movie made, and we were, writing scripts and selling scripts, and there was such a. It was like people said, you must have been so happy when they got made. It was more relief. It was a relief because, first of all, we couldn't get anything made. Secondly, they wouldn't make that movie for 5 years. And every studio shot it down. And there's a part of you, a little part, that's wondering, am I an idiot? Like, why do I think this is so funny and they don't? And then when it gets made and it is successful and it is funny, it's the original one, and it's, the oldest child. You kind of, it was a special time, and it was those two guys, Jeff, Jim, such great guys, so much fun working with them on the second one too. If I was ever going to do another sequel, it'd probably be Dumb and Dumber, because I just like hanging with those guys. But it was, it was an amazing experience. I was on a plane recently, not recently, it's probably a couple of years ago, I've been telling this story, but this woman next to me, we're talking, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm a writer." "Anything I would have heard of?" I said, "Yeah, probably." She goes, "What?" I said, "Dumb and Dumber." And she goes, "No." I said, "What?" "I never heard of it." I was like, "You never heard of Dumb and Dumber?" She said, "No." I said, "Come on." Like, I'm actually challenging her. Like, "You've never heard the words Dumb and Dumber put together?" She said, "No, I don't watch a lot of movies." I said, "Yeah, but like it's on headlines. So it'll say Dumb and Dumber, like people doing stupid things." She said, "No, never heard of it." I was like, "You fucker, I know you've heard of it." But,
That's hilarious.
yeah.
And to speak to your next child, you and your brother have Dear Santa coming out. You worked on the script, and Bobby's directing. How exciting was it to, get Jack Black again and have him working on one of your films?
That was the dream, getting Jack, because like I said, it's Jack Black. It is Jack Blackiest. He is Jack Black, the guy we love, and he's really good in it. So it was fantastic. I love that guy.